What is up, knitting family? I am James the Sock Guy. I'd like to welcome you finally back to episode 8 of the Sock Drawer Knitting Podcast. It has been a minute since we last talked. I think it's been a month, maybe a little over a month since I last did an episode. I have to deeply apologize for that, folks. Sometimes life gets in the way and, just things don't always go the way you want them to sometimes. And sometimes, you need to take a step back to just kind of get your head straight. I'm going to tell you what happened, why it's been so long between episodes. I'm going to be candid. I'm going to be open. I'm going to be honest with you guys here. It's twofold, actually. I mean, one, I have been very busy on the weekends, which is really the only time I get to record. One weekend was my wife's 50th birthday celebration. The other weekend we went to the Central Pennsylvania Fiber Festival. So that was taking up space during the week. It's been long weeks at work. So on the weekends I've been feeling kind of burnt out, so I haven't had the motivation to bring myself to set up the camera and the lighting and everything to do a podcast. So that, sometimes takes a lot out of it. But part of the reason why it's been a while, and I've been trying to, get this right in my head, is something that the phrase that keeps repeating over and over in my head is toxic creativity. And I'm going to tell you what that means to me. When I started this podcast, this video, doing these videos on YouTube and everything, I thought it would just be a fun little thing, that I would show off my knitting and yarn that I got and everything. And it's been that. But at the same time, there's a certain amount of pressure that I've been putting on myself, to constantly be creating or churning out knitting, for the sake of these videos, to always have something new to show, or buying yarn to have something new to show. Just this undue pressure that I've been putting on myself, not from anybody else. It's all, up here mentally. So I kind of took a step back to get that right, because that's not good. I mean, when you're doing that, when you're knitting fast, or when you're creating things for the internet, a lot of times that sucks the passion out of it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So I was constantly trying different patterns and, trying different sock yarns and everything like that. And it wasn't making me happy. And I'm a big proponent of mental health. And, because I've been through the trenches, and so I can sort of recognize when I'm struggling, and it's in those moments that I know I have to take a step back and reevaluate things. And so that's part of why I've been away, because I've just been sort of, deciding what I want to do here, or deciding how to alleviate some of that pressure from myself. And I haven't really, come up with any, clear-cut answers. All I can tell you is that, if it's okay with you guys, if you want to keep seeing regular content, there's going to be weeks where I don't have anything new to show. You know what I mean? Like maybe, I'll do this podcast like today, right now, I'm doing this podcast, and then maybe a week or 2 weeks from now, I won't have that much to show. But we can still sit down and talk about knitting. We can talk about life, things like that. If that's okay with you, I think that's the direction this is going to take, because I'm not going to put pressure on myself just for the sake of the internet and YouTube and podcasts. You know what I mean? Because that's just silly. I'm going to be 48 years old this year. I don't have time for that. What's that old name? Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? So we're just going to make this a fun space. We're just going to talk about knitting. If I have something new to show, great. If for whatever reason, this is in the rare case that I only do 2 rows on a sock, I'm just going to show those 2 rows. You know what I mean? I can't imagine a world in where that ever happens, because like I said, I think in episode 1 or episode 2, Since I started knitting back in 2021, I've knit every single day since then, forever. So in the rare cases, I won't have much to show, but there's always going to be something. You know what I mean? So that's where things stand right now. And I'm sorry it took so long for me to get back to you guys and to post this episode. But here I am. And I have to say welcome to all the new followers, because while I was away, I got a shout out. The Little Sock Drawer podcast got a shout out from Allie Rowan from Allie Makes Everything. She talked about, I think it was 10 or 12, little knitting podcasts that might be flying under the radar that don't have a lot of followers that people might not know about. And mine got a shout out. So thank you so much, Allie. Because of that, I think we gained like an extra 100 subscribers in the past. I think it was 2 weeks ago that she mentioned that. So I think in the last 2 weeks, this channel has shot up to like 200 and it's been hovering between 230 and 235 subscribers. So that's great. So welcome, all you new subscribers and new viewers to the Sock Drawer Knitting Podcast. I hope that opening rant didn't turn you off if you're still watching by this time. Here we are. But thank you for coming along and checking out the channel and subscribing. And honestly, if it's not your thing and you have to unsubscribe, that's okay too. That's something else I've been, reconciling with in my head. That's not everyone's this podcast isn't for everyone, if it never grows and if it just sits here at 230 subscribers, I'd rather be talking to, people that appreciate, that want to be here, that want to listen, so that's, if it just amasses 10 loyal viewers that watch every single episode from beginning to end, that's great. We have a small little community here in our corner of the internet. If that makes sense. So whatever. A lot of times I just ramble and I don't make a lot of sense, but it's that aspect of quality over quantity. You know what I mean? Is that a good way of putting it? Quality over quantity. That's how I look at it. So here we are. We're back for another episode 8. Let's get into some foes and hoes. Foes and hoes, finished objects, half objects. What have I been up to in the last month? Well, it's been interesting. I did finish one full pair of socks, so I'm going to show those to you now. I believe I showed these last episode. At least I showed them that I was working on them. Well, they're now finished. The yarn is West Yorkshire Spinners. It is from their cocktail line, and this is a Rum Paradise. Ta-da! These are for my bestie Michaela, who I've mentioned many times. She loves rainbows. I love rainbows. And hey, you know what? Today, June 1st, is the beginning of Pride Month. So here we are showing off some rainbow socks for Pride Month. Works out great. But yeah, I finished these. Let's see, these were on 2.75 millimeter needles, 62 stitches around. The toe, of course, is the umbrella toe that I absolutely love now from Kay Jones. I plug it into all my socks. I just like that sort of rounded edge on the toe rather than the, I don't even know what you would call it, but there's that toe where you sort of decrease at the beginning of each round, you know what I mean? And it sort of forms almost like a triangle before you Kitchener stitch off. This one I like the more rounded edge on the toe. It gives your foot a little more room in there. So anyways, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, these are looking great. I love the colors. They're so bright. They're so vibrant. I'll be giving these to her what is today? Friday. She's coming over on Friday or Thursday to drop off her guinea pig before she goes on vacation. I talked about that before. I'm going to have a little guinea pig visitor for a couple weeks while she's on vacation, which is great because we already have 4 guinea pigs here at the house. We got 2 males, 2 females. We keep them separated. We don't want no babies, but it's always nice to have another guinea pig in the mix. And this guy, his name's Piper. He's huge. He's the biggest baked potato you're ever going to see. And I'll try and do a podcast while he's here, or maybe at least throw up a short reel on the channel or something so you can see how massive this guy is. He's a big guinea pig. So yeah, so these are them. So that is that. That is one pair that I did. And now hold on, I have to take one off the blocker because, as I said, I don't have enough blockers in my life. I still don't. But here's another one that I did. Now this one I only have one finished sock. And I'm going to tell you what happened. This is Knit Picks Static in the Rugrats colorway. And I bought this online thinking that it might be cool and fun. And I knit it up. Look at that. Isn't that kind of neat? That is kind of fun, right? It is kind of neat, but it's not my thing. So I knit this sock and I put it on after I was done knitting it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just not feeling it, you know? So what I'm going to do is that these are going to be gift socks for somebody. The white is just Hobie yarn. But I'm gonna gift these socks to somebody. I'm gonna finish the other one probably in the next month or two, you know, because I'm not in no hurry to finish it because these are just gonna be for somebody else. I'm just gonna toss them in the gift pile. And so yeah, but that is just one of the other socks that I finished. That you know, I mean, it's fun, but it's just not for me. When I put it on my foot and I look at it, you know, sort of turn my foot, look at it, do a little dance, I'm just like, I'm just not feeling it. So if that's your colorway, if that's your thing, Knit Picks Static in the Rugrats colorway. Sort of 90s splashy color vibe going on there. So yeah, that's another one that I finished. And let's see. And now currently, that's it. I finished 3 socks in the last month. That's how, you know, busy I've been, or just haven't had the time to sort of, I mean, I still knit every day, but, you know, on a good day, I'll knit like 40 or 50 rows. On a bad day, I'll knit like 20, you know? So sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast, but that's what it is. But this one, I am almost done. This is just one sock that I'm almost done. Okay, so now we're getting into the Pennsylvania Fiber Festival territory that I went to a couple weekends ago. A lot of great vendors this year, a lot of new vendors. It's a little festival. I believe this was the 4th year. It's in Hughesville, Pennsylvania. And it actually expanded to include 2 buildings this year. There's like a big, huge main building that's sort of like a barn, big, huge building. And then right behind it is a smaller building, and they had vendors in there too. So it's nice to see that it's expanding. They had tons of demonstrations this year. I didn't take any video or pictures, and because, you know, I planned to, but when I got there, I got kind of nervous. You know, I'm not comfortable just filming things, or especially out in public. You know what I mean? I just kind of feel weird about that, you know? I'm not there yet in my podcast journey. Maybe next year, by the time it rolls around, I'll feel comfortable just filming and taking pictures and things like that. But I was just there. I went for the day and just kind of enjoyed myself. You know, it was kind of nice just to unplug though for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like not have to worry about looking at your phone all the time or taking pictures or taking videos. But anyways, this is a colorway I got from a new to me indie dyer called the Yarnsmith, and I believe it's run by a veteran, I think. Anyways, it's called the Yarnsmith, and this color is called Best Day Ever. Look at that. Look at those colors. Isn't that fancy? I really, really like all these colors. They're almost like jewel tones. You know what I mean? Like gems. Like that is so gorgeous. And these are for me. Like I'm keeping these. Like I love these colors. And I was trying to think of a pattern I could use. I didn't want to just knit a straight vanilla sock. I wanted to have a little texture to it. You know what I mean? So I was trying to think of a pattern that I could use that would show off the yarn. And it's so hard with variegated yarn sometimes doing a pattern, because so much so the pattern often gets lost in the yarn, or the yarn gets lost in the pattern, whichever one it is. But you know what I mean? It's kind of lost. But I still wanted that texture rather than just a straight vanilla sock, stockinette. So I went with my go-to. This is the 4th time I've knit Hermione's Everyday sock pattern. And forgive me, I can't remember the designer right now. But anyways, here it is. I'm almost done. I'm on the toe now. I'm on the umbrella toe. But this is the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern. You can't even really see the pattern in there, but you can still see the sock has some texture. You know, on the bottom it goes into the stockinette stitch. And I actually did a different heel this time. This is the first time I ever did. You can't really see. Like I said, it gets kind of lost in the yarn. But this is the Eye of Partridge heel that I've never done this one before. But I kind of like the way those little diamonds show up. I think this might be my go-to heel from now on. Heel flap. It's kind of nice. But yeah, so these are the Hermione's Everyday Socks. I'm almost done the toe. I just did a 10-row cuff. That's usually my go-to is 10-row cuffs. Every once in a while, because I hate ribbing, all right? Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people hate ribbing. I'm not a big ribbing guy, so I just do 10 rows of ribbing just at the top of the sock, just to get it out of the way, you know, to have a little snag there at the top. But that's all I really do. Every once in a while, I'll stretch it to 15 or 20 if I'm kind of feeling it, but more often than not, I'm not feeling it. You know, so I just do the 10 rows. But yeah, I really like how these are so gorgeous. Like, I love these jewel tones, you know. So these are definitely a keeper for me. But yeah, Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern. Almost done. I'll have this finished today. All right, so that is one hank of yarn that I got at the Fiber Festival. So now that's it for hose and foes, foes and hose. So now let's get into some yarn that I got at the Fiber Festival. This was one of them. I didn't go crazy, all right? I could have, but I didn't. Okay, so I got that. This is from the Yarnsmith, Best Day Ever. And then I love these. I buy yarn from these people every single year. This is the Sheepyshire yarn. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of the Sheepyshire or been to the Sheepyshire online website or in person. Absolutely gorgeous yarn. So nice to work with. This colorway is called Sitting by the Fireside. Look at that. It is so fun. So gorgeous. Very fall-like, very fall-y. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to making these into socks. Again, I'm in a pattern mode right now, which I think is helping. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can usually I just knit straight vanilla socks, but I'm in the mood for some texture, for some patterns. Even if the pattern gets kind of lost in this, I at least want that texture on the sock, you know what I mean? So we'll see how I feel once this rolls around, but I can see myself, you know, knitting these with some sort of texture. So that's one that I got. And here's another one that I got. This one I have, speaking of trying to find a pattern and texture, I have started knitting and stopped knitting. I've started and frogged this hank about 3 times now. But this is also from the Sheepyshire. And this is called The View. Oh my God, what was it? The View from Here is Explosive, or something like that. I'll put it down in the description below. But you can see, I frogged it several times, so it's wrapped around. But you can kind of see the colors there. Those are kind of nice. These are also going to be for me. I like that. Again, I don't even remember what I just left these on the needles. I don't even remember what pattern this was, but using it. But you can kind of see how it knits up. You know what I mean? So that's kind of nice. The View from Here is Explosive. The View is Explosive. Something like that. Something about views and something about explosive. Because it does. It has that, you know, it's got that blue to represent the sky, but then it's got all these oranges and bright oranges and yellows to sort of represent like a sunset or sunrise, you know what I mean? So it's very nice. I mean, I saw it and I fell in love with it instantly and knew I had to buy it. So that is one other one that I got at the Fiber Festival. And that's it for single hanks. I bought something that I normally would never buy. I said in a few few of these episodes of the sock drawer that I just primarily stick to socks because socks are what I wear the most. I don't wear shawls. I don't wear, I wear scarves and hats in the wintertime, but you can only have so many of them, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But I'm not a shawl guy. So, surprise, surprise, I bought a shawl kit because I saw this shawl on display and I absolutely loved it. It was at the Frogget yarn display. Oh my God, the shawl was finished and it had right below it had a yarn kit of all the yarns you need to make this shawl. So, I haven't even opened them. Look at that. These are all from Frogget Yarns, and it is to make a shawl called the Enchanted Forest Shawl by Rachel Keener. Oh my God, you guys. This shawl is absolutely gorgeous, and I had to buy the entire kit to make this shawl. Oh my God. It combines a lot of different techniques. There's brioche in there, yarn overs, all those things you would find in a shawl. But it just sort of mixes them all together. And these colors are absolutely gorgeous. They go so well together. And again, I'll throw up a picture on the screen here so you can see. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? I don't know when I'm going to actually start this thing, but I am definitely looking forward to diving into that. And honestly, I said I'm not a shawl guy, but I might keep that for myself and sort of use it as a wrap kind of thing, in the wintertime or in the fall. Because, man, that is absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? So I'm excited about that. And I've never bought a kit before. I've always just bought, hanks, one or two at a time. I've never bought a whole kit with the idea to specifically make something that it's based on. So I'm looking forward to that. That's exciting. So yeah, so the Enchanted Forest Shawl by Rachel Keener. I'm so happy Frogget Yarns had this on display. Otherwise, I never would have discovered that at all. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Frogget Yarns. If you don't know Frogget Yarns, go visit them. Such nice people. If you've been to a fiber festival in the, on the, on the East Coast somewhere, from New York to Maryland, chances are you've seen the Frogget Yarn trailer at the festival. I mean, they're everywhere. They're so nice. And they got a new trailer. It's really, really gorgeous. So, I love it. Okay, so that's it for festival yarn. I did get one other. I showed the Rugrats. This is the Knit Picks Static Rugrats. Knit Picks had their while I was away. Knit Picks had their I guess they have an annual sock sale. So I picked up some of them. One of them was the Rugrats, and the other one, is this one here? Is this one here. This is also Knit Picks Static. Knit Picks Static. And this is the Bookhouse Boys colorway, which I believe is a Twin Peaks reference. If you are a Twin Peaks fan, you've probably heard of the Bookhouse Boys. Man, I love Twin Peaks. Such a good show. Back in the day, they had the revival back in 2017. Sadly, David Lynch recently passed away. That was like a punch in the gut, man. Twin Peaks was such an iconic show back in the early 90s. It helped change television. David Lynch was a genius. So, anyways, this is the colorway. So yeah, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how that knits up. It's so soft. I'm not familiar with a lot of Knit Picks yarn, but this Static, oh my God, it is like gorgeous. And it's just superwash, merino wool, and nylon. But for some reason, some hanks that you get, they feel really, really nice. You know what I mean? So that is that. Yeah, I believe that's it for yarn, guys. So we got a pair of socks finished. We got two mismatched socks pretty much finished now. So that's what's in the pipeline now. What else is going on? Man, I can't believe I've been away for a month, and that's really all I got. You know what I mean? Questions. I did get one question while I was away. Oh, man, and I forgot to write it down, but it was from, who is it? Haunted something. I can't remember your name. I'm so sorry. But you asked on one of my videos, first of all, you asked if I was watching The Last of Us, the TV show The Last of Us, which just concluded its season 2 run recently. And I have not. I watched the first season. I played the first video game, which I absolutely loved. It's one of my favorite all-time video games. I don't play a lot of games. I used to. But that is one of my favorite games. I cried in that game. That game is so well done, so gorgeous. The storytelling is what did it for me. I love good storytelling. And so one of my favorite games, the first season of the show I watched, I loved it. It was great. But then I got a job in the entertainment industry writing about movies and TV shows. And that sucks the fun out of it a lot of the times because I often write about things before I get the chance to actually watch them. So I'm already spoiled going into it. You know what I mean? And that's just part and part. That's just part of the job, you know? So I haven't watched season 2 yet. I will at some point. I just don't know when. But that's another thing too. And now, especially these days with the streaming shows and everything like that, that they'll come on and then you won't see another season for like 2 or 3 years. By the time season 2 of The Last of Us rolled around, I really didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's been like 2 years since season 1. And as much as I like season 1, it wasn't like, oh my God, season 2 is coming back. I have to see what it is, you know? So I just kind of you lose that interest, man. Like Stranger Things, you know, is coming back. They just announced that the final season 5, part 1 is on Thanksgiving Day this year. Part 2 is on Christmas Day. And the finale is on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or something like that. But it's like, okay, that I'm looking forward to seeing that. Because as long as it's been since Stranger Things season 4, I've consistently been engaged and, you know, into that show. So I'm looking forward to the season 5, the final season. So no, I haven't really watched The Last of Us yet. All right, so that's that. But you asked me another question about ease, positive ease and negative ease on my socks. Which do I prefer, or what's the go-to kind of thing? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not that scientific in my sock construction when it comes to, you know, I know what fits me and I know what I like. It depends on the yarn sometimes. Like, for instance, these were knit on 2.75 millimeter needles with 62 stitches. Now, these are for my friend Michaela, but if I was to knit, I would knit that same, you know, needle size and stitch count for myself. And these would fit snug on my foot. So I guess you could say they would maybe have a little bit of negative ease. But it's like one of those things where it's just trial and error for me, you know? So my go-to for me, like my go-to recipe, that's all I know, you know, is like 2.75 millimeter needles, 64 stitches. I know that's going to be a good fit for these. Now for these Hermione Everyday Socks, these are knit on 3 millimeter needles, also 64 stitches. Now these, I know they're not going to be as snug as these would be, but they're still going to fit my foot and be comfy to wear. I just sometimes like to knit on 3 millimeter needles, because it's a little bit faster, and especially when I'm doing like something like this with the texture, for me, I just find it really adds to the, you know, it just helps with the getting the texture on display when you're using a bit of a bigger needle. So, you know, both are going to fit. This one is just going to be a little bit more snug, and this one is just going to be like bang on. There's not going to be negative or positive ease. It's just going to fit. You know what I mean? But I still know it's not going to slide off my foot or anything like that. So when it comes to ease, I know there's like certain rules that people like to follow or things like that. I'm not that stringent in my knitting. I just know what I like and I know what fits me. So I just go with that. And that might not work for everybody. Some people need that structure. They need that regime to follow. You know, okay, I have to have 2.75 millimeter needles. I have to have 64 stitches. My gauge has to be 8 stitches per inch. If it's 9 inches per inch, you know, it throws the whole thing off. I'm not like that. You know, I just go with it. Sometimes my gauge is a little tight. Sometimes it's a little loose. I don't care. As long as it fits me, I'm happy. You know, and especially when it comes to socks, you can't really go wrong. Once you find what works for you, you stick with it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much my whole thing on gauge and positive ease and negative ease. I've never done a gauge swatch in my life. I just know, but then again, I mean, I'm not doing like big sweater garments or something like that. If I was doing a sweater or something like that, maybe I do a gauge swatch just to make sure that I'm on the right track rather than have to knit all that way before I find out, oh, it's too loose or too tight, whatever. You know what I mean? But when it comes to socks, I think gauge swatching is just kind of pointless once you find your recipe. And again, most sock patterns have that small, medium, large stitch fitting. Yeah, it's going to be 56, 64, or 72 stitches. One of those is going to fit you. You know, if you need to go down a little bit or up a little bit, it's all good. You know what I mean? So that's my take on all that gauge stuff and positive ease and negative ease when it comes to socks. I just know what works. You know, I don't, you know, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I think you guys get the point by now. You know what I'm saying? We all get the point. My brain, it just took a turn there. So anyways, that is it, guys. What is else going on? My mom celebrated her 50th birthday. That was exciting. She's up in Canada. I didn't get a chance to get there, but we sent her a beautiful flower bouquet. She's just turned 79. So it's, you know, it's kind of hard. I mentioned in my first podcast episode that my father had passed away back in January. So it's been kind of hard for her at those sorts of celebrations, you know, Valentine's Day or her birthday or something like that. You know, she gets a little lonely. She's adjusting well, you know, in day-to-day life to you know, being, you know, a widow. But she's doing okay. She's doing all right. She's always had a positive attitude. So she'll be okay. So she's going to be, my grandparents lived to be in their 90s. She's going to be around and kicking for at least another 20. So that's it. Yeah. What did I say? My wife, did I say, my mom celebrated her birthday. What did I just say? I don't remember what I just said. My wife celebrated her 50th birthday and my mom celebrated her 79th birthday. So we sent my mom the flowers. My wife didn't get flowers. My wife got a cool anime action figure that she really, really wanted that I bought her, that she loves. So yeah, and we went to Ichiban, which is like a hibachi Japanese grill kind of thing. So we went there. She enjoyed that. Man, I'm just rambling now. I think I'm going to stop I think I need more coffee. It's still early on a Sunday morning, so I'm just going to stop while I'm ahead. All right, guys. Listen, thank you so much for your patience as you waited for this episode. Like I said, next episode, you know, we're just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna try so hard when I'm not on camera here to just not put pressure on myself, to just make this a fun space to come and talk about knitting. Again, if you have any questions for me about life, about sock knitting, about my journey, anything like that, put them in below. Put them in the comments below. Maybe next time I'll do a AMA, Ask Me Anything episode. Maybe I'll put out the call on Blue Sky where I hang out most times to just ask questions. So maybe we'll do like an Ask Me Anything, or maybe that will be like a between episode kind of thing. But anyways, yeah. So let's just have some fun. Let's just talk about knitting. And I appreciate you all so much. Thank you to the new followers who came from Allie's recommendation. I hope it lived up to the hype. I don't talk about hockey, so don't worry about that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. I love you all, and I will talk to you again next time. All right, happy knitting.